Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this great morning. Of course, it's Global Morning. It's a delight to be here as always. We appreciate the time you're going to invest with us for the next 2 hours so we can get a bit interactive and then bring you some of the big stories around the country and beyond. And we do appreciate the fact that you want to do this with us. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe, always a pleasure to be here. Jumai Manson is on the program as well.
Good morning, Mr. Uyi, and to all our viewers out there. Good morning to each and every one of you out there. It is a beautiful day, and I am elated to be here to grace your TV screen today. How are you doing, Mr. Uyi?
Well, I'm great.
Well done.
Refreshed, revitalized, and resourced.
It's very important. They say health is wealth, right?
There's nothing you can do about that.
You have to be healthy in order to function. You have to be healthy in order to be wealthy.
Right.
It's very important that we take our time to actually check our health. When the stress signals are alerting, you should take out time to rest. Is very important. And I realize that as Nigerians, we hardly rest. We're always about the hustle, the bustle. It's all about trying to meet up with time, even when it's not convenient, trying as much as possible to just keep abreast with what is happening to make enough money. But, you know, really, sometimes we need to take a chill pill, relax. Don't you think?
You know, the thing is, I realize that it is a decision we have to reconsider. It's been our lifestyle for many years, all right? Our parents, our foreparents, you know, I mean, our grandparents and all of that. So it's been a transgenerational practice for us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But then we need to realize that, like I was telling a colleague once I walked into the office this morning, that you have to be healthy to do your work very well. You know, one time, there's this story that changed my perspective about this whole thing. People have to be well, people have to have flourishing health to be able to be functional. It's not so much about the 7 days a week kind of thing. True. Yes, be hardworking, be smart at your work, but you must have that work-life balance somehow. You've got to have that, right? So I went to this teaching hospital, took my older daughter there, and then the guy who was coordinating patients was sharing the story because somebody was putting unnecessary pressure, some undue pressure on him. He said, look, you have to take it easy on me because I'm doing my job and I'm trying to do it the best way I should under this circumstance.
Exactly.
Like you can see, most of my colleagues have done jackpot, so I'm the only one here doing this job. And then he said something. He said, look, we had a senior professor, not just a professor, senior professor, ENT professor here.
Wow.
So the guy dropped dead in front of everybody here some years ago. He said, we went to bury him 2 weeks down the line. We came back to work. He said the reason is the man had worked his fingers out the whole time. He loved his job. He wanted to save lives. He loved children and so on and so forth. But he didn't have that balance between work, you know, and other aspects of his life. So he must have that. Yes, he must have that time to take a walk if you want to run, maybe once a week at least, you know, spend time with family. We're not even talking about vacation yet. That's another story. But there's got to be that balance so that when you're working, you're working. When it's time to rest, you're rest. You know, it's interesting how you see some people still take work calls while they're supposed to be on a vacation. And then you're wondering, is that how much, I mean, how crazy the pressure is? But then I think we learn every day.
We learn every day. We like seriously. Sometimes we all need to take what I call a chill pill. We need to just chill and relax and know that sometimes you need to take a break. And most of us, many individuals who are workaholics, and I'm sitting next to one who always wants to push and push and push and push. But sometimes, you know, the body, they say the body in the pigeon palace, the body is not firewood. And when it breaks down really, really hard. First of all, it gives you all the signals. I have friends who are doctors, who are surgeons. My brother is a doctor, and he always says, look, let me tell you something about the human body. When you keep pushing and pushing, it gives you that signal.
Right.
And then when it finally stops giving you that signal, that's
You're
when
done.
the whole system and everything breaks down. And it takes God and grace for you to
reverse that damage.
back up. So it's very important that we understand that as our age, sometimes some are in their late 30s,
Right.
early 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You have to take out time to rest is very, very
true.
important. And another thing I've realized, talking about all of these health and all of that, people like myself, I am guilty of it, but I'm trying so hard, asking God for grace to always complete my medications.
Right.
When it comes to malaria, when it comes to, really, I do not, but I'm asking God every day for God and grace. I think I'm trying my best now. So we have to try. We do not complete prescriptions. We do not complete medications, because sometimes we feel one day, 2 days, we're good with the malaria signs, nothing.
You're done with the med.
I'm done. It is so wrong. Please, individuals out there, learn to complete your medications. I know, like I said, I'm part of that boat, but I'm
you
asking
belong
God for
in
grace.
that bandwagon,
No,
right?
no, I'm not one leg in and one leg.
I've been able to accidentally overcome that some years ago.
Okay.
Because I realized that the drugs are not just to make you feel better. They're supposed to bring healing, so to speak.
Exactly.
Therefore, you must go through the cycle. And it's the
very
reason
important.
doctors and nurses, health professionals will say, use your medication religiously.
Yes,
you know.
exactly, exactly. Like I said, that's why I said for everyone out there, we're not perfect. We all have our weaknesses, and like I said, it's not really a struggle anymore. Now I try so hard, but back in the day was really bad. I just take it once, and then if it's a 5-day medication, 1, 2, I'm done. But now I take out time religiously, like you have said. And many of us fall in that class. And, like I said, it takes God, it takes grace.
Right.
I've always said that. But at the same time, let's never forget that health is wealth. It's very important we do our regular checkup. It's very important that we try as much as possible to understand our body system. When you are tired, it doesn't mean you've given up. It just means that your body is telling you that it needs to rest. So 30 minutes break, 1 hour break, sometimes it goes a long way.
It
very
does.
important.
That's right. All right, we're taking a quick break soon. Are we cooking something this morning?
No, we are not, but we are going to go on our newspaper review, which is very important at about this time to inform individuals who are looking at us right now through their TV set. So let's quickly go on a very quick break. Global Weekend continues shortly.
Hello and welcome to Business Report. Consumer goods company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange reported a significant uptick in their cost of production in the first half of the year 2024. A review of the financial statement of 8 of the major consumer goods companies listed on the NGX reveals that, on average, the cost of production rose by 67% in the first half of 2024. Compared to the corresponding period of last year. Some companies also saw their production cost almost double in the period under review. The 8 companies reported a total operational cost of 1.58 trillion naira in the first half of 2024, compared to 952.32 billion naira in the same period in 2023. The average worker living in Lagos earned the sum of 60,000 naira as monthly salary, according to a new survey covering Nigerian commercial hub. These findings is detailed in the State of the Employed report by Paid HR, a Nigerian startup specializing in the HR management solution for businesses. This figure is below the newly established minimum wage of 70,000 naira, which was signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in June. The report, which examined employment trends in Lagos, provides a comprehensive analysis across all demographic, young, old, male and female, with 51% of respondents falling within the 19 to 35 age bracket. The report further reveals that 58% of working individuals in Lagos spend more than their primary income each month, suggesting that a majority of residents in the city rely on multiple jobs to make ends meet. The breakdown of the report also shows the disparity in earning across the male and female workers living in Lagos. In addition, the survey covers the earning capacity of married individuals, single workers, as well as divorcees. Accordingly, the report notes that there has been a decline in productivity of Nigerian workers as a result of the rising inflation in the country, which erodes the purchasing capacity of workers. The 9 U.S. Spot Ethereum Exchange Traded Fund ended their 3-day positive inflow streak on Thursday with $39 million leaving the funds. Prior to yesterday, Ethereum ETF product recorded positive inflow for 3 consecutive days, pulling in $10.8 million, $24.3 million, and $5.0 million, respectively. According to data from Farside Investors UK, Grayscale Ethereum Trust continued to experience outflow with $42.52 million exiting the fund. It was the only Ethereum ETF product to experience another outflow. The Grayscale Ethereum Mini Trust, the second largest spot Ether ETF by net assets, reported no flow on Thursday alongside other ETF products like Franklin, Teflon, Bitwise, and ARC21 shares. Fidelity's FET recorded net inflow of $2.54 million, and Black Ether saw $770,350,000, one of its lowest inflow income following into the fund. On Thursday, the total daily volume of the 9 ETFs reached $240.58 million, much higher than $155.91 million on Wednesday and $190.76 million on Tuesday. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU
The
strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death stole from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies to, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies to, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted.
And time to bring you the newspapers. Big stories, basically, just to keep informed of what's happening within the frame of news, and then also, of course, put you in front of the news. We'll begin with the Times, all right? Let's see what the Times says. The big story says 90 billion naira Hajj fraud allegation. More arrests as EFCC grants NACOM boss bail after 3 nights. The writer says to report for interrogation every Monday. Poor pension, retired federal directors cry out against PENCOM, PFAs. You can read up those details on page 4 of the paper today. My struggles with substance abuse, Jaruma confesses. All right, you're not alone, I'm sure.
Okay.
Anambra commissioner, wife kidnapped, aide killed en route to Abuja for wedding. That's a very sad tale there for you. Lagos woman cuts stepchildren with hot knife, hides them in apartments. Secondos Omeha Okpara can attend PDP meetings. That's according to court ruling. And then on page 19, you have details of the headline that reads, high electricity tariff in hospitals, doctors call for reversal to avert deaths. Now let's take it one notch higher by bringing you headlines above the nameplate. One headline here, top left corner with a picture of the president, Bola Tinubu. It says, Tinubu returns from Equatorial Guinea, launches key healthcare initiatives. And finally, Jonathan, the only Nigerian president that has shown interest in Nollywood. That's according to Adim Williams, who himself a veteran in the industry. All right, so you can read up all of those stories for yourself this morning from the Times. So move on to the first news now.
Before we move on to
you want to talk about Jeremiah, I guess.
Not only Jeremiah, I want to talk about Lagos woman cuts stepchildren with hot knife, hide them in apartment. This is a very sad caption. Like I always tell people, if you are not ready to become a stepmom, stepdad, I think it takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of understanding for you to bring someone that you claim you love, his child, to become yours. It takes a lot of responsibility. You have to be very sure.
When you're not a biological parent
exactly
of that child or of those children.
Of those children. It's so sad that I've heard a lot. You've heard how stepmoms cut genitals of their stepchildren, how they beat them, it's so unfair. Like really, it's not nice at all. I think the law should you know, it's very important that this should be handled really. And of course, law should please take its course. It's very important. And of course, substance abuse, when you said her struggles with substance abuse, Jeroma confessed, and you said she's not alone. A lot of people go through this, drugs and substance abuse, some over-medicate. That's why I am not an advocate for self-medication.
Right, which is, of course, over the top.
Over the top. People do that. Mothers, a lot of mothers, I will tell you that for free. A child tells you she's feverish, and you just say in your mind, okay, this seems like a malaria sign. Let's go to the counter or go to the pharmacy without going through a doctor. Please, it can actually lead to substance abuse. I've met people a lot who have talked about the struggles of substance abuse, and it is real. It is real if you see what they go through. It's just unfortunate, and I pray that she gets the right care and meets the right individual for her to take the right step to healing process. And then next we have First News, and the side of the caption, it says, Niger Delta desperately needs another Okilo. Oworiso marks in his words there. And you can read that up on the First News paper. And then it says Naira Pullman's further hits 1,590 Naira to a dollar in Paro market. Now, withdraw soldiers from Southeast. They're making things worse. Igbo women beg federal government. And it says here, in my family, in his family, he says nobody has lived up to 80 years. That's Obi Kubana. And then it says Nigerians escalating insecurity. A number reels from kidnapping, killings. And the two writers there says commissioner, wife abducted, 8 killed in Abuja highway attack. And it says another 8 abducted, 12 injured as traditional ceremony in Orumba. And below all of that, it says Tinubu must demonize Nigerian, but has a good soul. That's in the words of Shatima. Chinese firm released one seized presidential jet for Tinubu's France trip. Like, I'm trying to understand that news. And down a notch, you can see the caption that says, Nigerians' future stolen. Over 20 medical students abducted in Benue. Oh, my goodness. 20, that's a lot. With all this Japan that is happening, I hope they're not, please, they should try and get these medical students back. They're very important. And that's it. You have to go get your First newspaper to get more informed on the stories making rounds. Next.
Well, we'll take it to The Guardian.
The Guardian.
Newspaper this morning. So as we flip over to The Guardian, everyone, let's see what the stories immediately beneath the nameplates say. The headlines here. How ESU's intervention brought succor to Portuguese environmental challenges. Historians are critical to nation-building development. Of course, nobody can fight that. But the star story here reads, will fresh Constituent Assembly gift much-needed constitutional reforms? Well, we've seen a lot of divergence on that front. There are people who say we don't need a new constitution as a country, that Nigeria has not been able to follow through with the constitution as it stands today. That is the 1999 constitution as amended. But then it's becoming more like a symposium conversation. Tinubu launches healthcare initiatives to retain 120,000 frontline workers. That's basically in the healthcare sector. Again, that's the crux of our conversation today on the program. Igbo paternity claim makes me laugh. Obasanjo. Why can't teachers too get 300% pay rise? That question is thought-provoking. You know, Jumai, just this week, for example, judiciary workers have now been approved to receive 300% increase. Judicial officers, all right, in their pay, which is humongous, yes, which is a landmark. All right, but then there are concerns around how much do we place value on teachers. Maybe we should leave healthcare workers for a second, because that is going to be the long and short of our conversation on the program today, right? So what are we doing about teachers? Are we also thinking of increasing theirs by even say 100%? Let's not go the whole hog of 300%, for example. growing up, I would hear grown-ups around me say things like, no matter how accomplished you are in life, no matter the sector or the sphere of influence where you're doing your thing,
very true,
you were taught by a teacher,
of course,
formally or informally. But as of today, it will appear from all indications that we don't seem to place much of premium on our teachers. Let's not even talk about the education sector as we know it, which is very pathetic.
Which is nothing to write home about. You are absolutely right. I feel we don't give preference enough, and we do not salute these individuals who have actually gotten us to where we are today. Like you said, you definitely, directly or indirectly, you've been in contact with a teacher. A teacher actually taught you what we both know, and then you bring into practice. It's very important that preference is given to the educational system. I say that most individuals who cannot afford to take their children overseas, what we have here in Nigeria is an educational system in which we have, and we must make it better. We must acknowledge these sets of individuals that have put in so much work. Some are so passionate about it. I have read stories, I have covered stories of teachers who were not paid for 6 months, and yet they never fail to go to school to teach these students, all because they want to impact knowledge. It's very important. So preference should be given to them. Accolades should be given to them.
Totally agree.
I'm not saying that other institutions, when we talk about judiciary, the healthcare sectors are not important, but at least sometimes you need to take a wink and know that some need more preference than others, even if they all are on the same pedestal. But it's very important that we know that these teachers should be given accolades. They've done so much for you and I in the society.
We can't say that enough, but then let's turn quickly to the Independent newspaper this morning.
And of course, on the Independent newspaper, above the caption, it says, and that's the picture of Festus Keyamo, and he says, "Fan goes tough on touts, plans magistrate court at airports." You see, this is very important. You know the havoc these touts cause in the airport. I have been scammed once in the airport, by the way, and the guy came up to me and says, what airline? I was like, please, I'm not in the mood. Please just stop. Just stop, please. And he was like, no, let me help you. Weighs my luggage, and it was like, I think almost out of the kg with like 2 kg, and he collected money from me, basically. And the next thing you know, I got to in front of the line of my airline. They tell you, okay, you have to wait again, and like I just paid to someone, like, well, it's not from us. So
that's off the record.
That's off the record. So, madam, you are OYO on your own. So you just, because they do a lot of things, really, they do a lot of havoc at the airport. So I'm glad with this. I'm sure normalcy will return in the airport system. And let's look at the next. It says, police finally arrest wanted cultists in Lagos. And that you can find on page 38 on the Independent newspaper. And it says, Lungu Boys, why every artist is entitled to his art. And you can find that on page 31. And of course, the sports stories on the Independent you can find on 25, 26, 27, 28, and of course, 32. And here, below the caption of the Independent newspaper, we have financial autonomy, why Supreme Court must enforce compliance on functions of local governments. And we have 3 riders there, and it says, state government must comply with judgment. Ahamba Ozikome Dagba, and it says, insist. Power has returned to grassroots, and that's Edoze Ujoku. And it says, Langman now on constitutional joint account. That's from Emeka Kalu. And here it says, ADC kicks again, Solido, September 28th, cancel poll. And you can read that on page 7. And below all of that, we have here, reasons Nigerians' tax policy will continue to be in doldrums. Captain Gulcrick, and you can find that on page 4. And here, this is a very sad caption here, really, really sad. And it says, at some locations, Yahoo boys are treated with more dignity than filmmakers. And that's
Biodun Stephen.
Yes, Biodun Stephen. And you can find that on page 9, which is really, it's so unfortunate that you find that the individuals who make money through dubious means that are not morally bound. They give them more dignity. They give them more accolades when it comes to individuals who are struggling to make ends meet. Do you think
who are doing so legitimately?
Exactly. And do you think this is like the Nigerian in which we found ourselves, that we give preference to the one that has money more is the one that I'm going to respect and give all of these? It's so unfair, really.
I think,
I do not. I cannot place my hand.
I think we are all guilty of all of this on different levels.
Okay.
Just that we may not realize it, or maybe there's a bit of hypocrisy. We don't want to. Okay, I'll give you an example. All right.
Okay.
So this is a woman along a popular road in the city, right? Where, I mean, an area that's supposed to be an eyebrow area, right? So she sells fruits, assorted fruits. And then a guy walks down the walkway, wants to buy fruits. The guy picks a head of bananas, or a bunch of bananas, and says, how much is it? She tells him, and then they're haggling back and forth. You know how it goes. 2,500, no, it's 1,500, and all of that. Then while they are at it, a vehicle pulls up. And then the guy blares his horn. The next thing you know is the woman abandons this other guy the entire time, goes to talk to the guy in the car. The thinking is, this one is a big man. He's driving. This one came barefoot. So, I mean, who am I supposed to attend to first? And then she starts to attend to the guy in the vehicle. The guy in the vehicle eventually ends up buying 2 balls of apple. Meanwhile, the other guy who was supposed to buy a bunch of banana is not very happy about it. He walks away. Now, what the woman doesn't realize is that while the other one that just stopped over was driving a vehicle from the 90s by a model, the other guy was actually 2 houses away at a car wash, washing his machine, if you know what I mean.
Oh, my goodness.
So he goes back there. A few minutes later, they're done washing his machine. He drives out again, pulls up in front of the woman, gets off his car, buys his banana, buys pineapple, buys pear, buys a few other things, and the woman is shocked. Now, she judged the first guy by his appearance after he came barefooted, like I said. This other one is driving moto, as we say.
Okay.
So what it means is, you see, that's how it starts. It's a value system. It's a value orientation in our heads.
Yeah.
We are likely going to accord the guy wearing suit and tie and speaking big Oyinbo more respect than the guy wearing a jean and a T-shirt and probably can't piece 2 words together in English. All right? You see, again, like I said, it starts from how we were raised, where we were raised, the persons by whom we were raised.
Very true.
You see, Yahoo has not always been here, or internet fraud, as we should call it, right? Has not always been here. But these people came from homes. I know, for example, at a point in the city where I was born and raised, 2 brothers who were undergraduate at the time. They got into university a few years ahead of me. But their mom was sponsoring them to go to Cyber Cafe to do fraud. I look over my shoulder, I'm asking myself, is it like she didn't know what it was, or she knew, she just didn't care? Oh, I don't think I have those answers.
Well, the truth is, back to your story, Rewind, which is, I'm very curious. The man that was driving the quote and unquote the machine, did he explain to her, did he tell her, now this is the lesson you should learn from all of this?
I don't think it needs to. If she can't figure that out, it's called reading between the lines.
No, he's very petty. Really.
Hold on.
Really, he is.
Hold on.
He is.
If you had told her that, you would say, well, he wanted to prove a point. That's why he did that.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to prove a point. The thing is, he wants, see, let me, the man in question.
What he would have said, Madam, you see, don't judge a book by its cover.
When should they have said that before he came back to bring his car?
When he bought all of the pineapple and everything.
And then people like you would also say, okay, he wanted to see the person in question is my friend. Let me tell you.
I wouldn't.
You know why this story is personal to me?
It's personal.
The person in question is my friend. He wanted to buy those things for his wife because while we're sitting down, he got a call from his wife, who was heavy with their 3rd child at the time.
Okay.
To say she wanted X, Y, Z. That's why I went there. And his wife has always bought from that woman because that's where their daughter's school's around there, so the wife would always go do school run from around there. What's the point? The point here is this. It may not be about Yahoo Boys every time. It's always about our value system, how we think.
That's true.
If you see somebody who flies first class and you run into them at the airport, there's a pretty good chance, Joe, that there's this instinct in your head that's going to accord them more respect. It's by default. Compared to the guy who probably just had to use a regular taxi to the office. Not knowing that by influence and by maybe affluence as well, the guy who had just done a regular cab to the office is far ahead of the guy who just did business class. Maybe the guy who did business class just got a complimentary ticket He didn't pay for it.
And that is true.
So I think it's a way of saying we need to, all of us, like I said, we're all guilty of it. We
Very
need to
true.
undergo some sort of paradigm shifts. And the way we think, our thought process needs re-engineering, right?
But we have a long way to go.
Yeah, we do.
It has to take a lot of, it's going to take a lot of process, a lot of educating, creating that awareness for all of these to come into play. Now, moving on now, it says Chinese firm releases Nigerian seized presidential jet. And the caption below says, open defecation, Ogun to commence persecution of offenders. Let's quickly go on a very quick break now. Global Morning Weekend continues shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and of course from that very short break. And the next we'll be looking at the weekend newspaper, and we will be giving us a drive through all of that.
All right, let's take a look at the weekend, leadership weekend for you, all right? Above the nameplate has a picture of the outgoing, let's see now, CJN, as Chief Justice of Nigeria. Says NJC to probe 27 judges over misconduct. Claims of Igbo paternity make me laugh, Obasanjo. Tinubu cuts aviation agencies IGR deduction to 20%. Chinese firm releases Nigeria's A330 presidential jets. Finally, bandit leaders enforce peace in Zamfara villages. How did they do that? Well, let's see the four riders accompanying that headline. Allow villagers access to farms, stop levies, defend affected areas against rivals' attacks. Residents recount experiences on coexistence. Police admits decrease in attacks. FG to stop allocations of LGs without elected chairman October. I think that's the right to, I mean, that's the way to go after the landmark Supreme Court verdict. Northeast region needs legacy roads projects, Governor Mohammed. I think that's fair to ask, actually. But then it's also fair to say that's all we have on the leadership weekend. Let's take you straight to the Punch newspaper.
And yes, of course, on the Punch newspaper, giving us some very punchy headlines here and very sensitive headlines. Above the Punch, close to the caption of the Punch, it says, and that's Sheyi Law, and he says, being bullied online doesn't bother me.
Our brother has got a tough skin.
He has a tough skin, a very thick skin, really. But it bothers a lot of people. Online bullying is...
Even depression can set in for many people.
Really, it leads to suicide. Haven't you noticed? It's so sad, really. But of course, Shay, congrats to you. And it says, now below the caption of the Punch, it says, federal government threatens to withdraw fuel marketers' licenses over hoarding. This has gone on for too long. Were you the one that gave me the encouragement that 2 weeks ago, everything's going to be fine? did you say that, don't worry, everything's going to be back the way it is? And I'm here, and there's a long queue, and I'm still have to buy black market.
Well, we're also relying on what the NNPCL had said.
Okay.
Then, of course, critical stakeholders about those promises and all of that. But I think we need to do a little more, maybe much more, with regards to the level of transparency that would bring to these issues of oil and gas. I think there's so much of opaqueness. There's too much of the activities in the industry shrouded in secrecy. It leads to assumptions and speculations. And you know, as they say, no matter how strong an assumption is, it is still the weakest form of knowledge.
Yes, it is.
All right. And when you have members of the public, I mean, fuel is something that is common to everybody.
Yes, it is.
You're either using it for your generator, for your car, for whatever it is.
Exactly.
Once you have this large number of people in a country like Nigeria having to speculate, having to assume about what is happening in the industry, then you have to live with the consequences.
Exactly, you have to. And I hope that the needful is done ASAP is very, very important. And here says, a caption boldly written in red, it says, shock as videos, photos link gun runner to government officials. Very, very sad caption then. It says, seize presidential jets. And it says, Nigerian policemen detain, brutalize our top officials, alleges Chinese firm. And that you can get, and you can see that on page 4. And the writer there says, police deny involvement as Ogun declines comment. And below all of that, it says, I do not expect to become UK Lord Mayor, Nigerian senator's wife, Khatun. And it says, defiled victims' long-winded fight for justice as rapists exploit child abuse laws loopholes. Really, really sad there. On ending controversies around lawmakers' jumbo pay. And that you can find on page 6. Now, below all of that, we have 27 judges face probe for alleged misconduct. How did we get to that point? And
they come from petitions. Basically, some of those petitions are from individuals, from businesses, including corporate entities.
Exactly.
Some of them are even from public institutions, all right? But of course, the NJC, that's the National Judicial Council, will have to take a look at them on the basis of their merits, and these judges will be invited for questioning. So they have their own series of protocols.
I know, but you know, these judges are supposed to set good examples when it comes to areas of law and order. We find them being faulted when it comes to individuals.
Because it's a broken world.
It is.
Personally, I don't raise expectations about people, because human beings, I mean, they say the best of human is still a human after all. You know, so people are going to make mistakes, they're going to falter and even compromise in most cases. But it's also good to know that you have checks and balances in place to at least minimize the impact of these alleged misconducts.
And then next we have the Telegraph, and then over to you.
Let's take it to the Telegraph now, everyone. Big story first on the front page of it. It says, insecurity, gunmen kidnapped 20 medical dental students in Benue. We understand that they are medical students at the University of Jos. All right. What's more? 4 riders there for you. Police confirm incidents, a launch investigation. Anambra Commissioner, wife kidnapped, aide killed. A terminally ill patient abducted, let's see, in Zamfara. UITH, Osun resident doctors protest non-release of abducted members 7 months after. I mean, I don't know what is more traumatic than that. For somebody to have been kidnapped for 7 straight months. I mean, you are with people you have never met in your life, but you don't know. You're probably in a bush somewhere, in an abandoned building. Nobody knows what you're being fed for 7 whole months.
That is really pathetic, and it's really, really sad.
And I wonder how their loved ones manage to find sleep.
I don't think we can actually understand it.
It's just bizarre.
It is very bizarre. It's just unfortunate, really. And you can imagine let's not even talk about the hygiene, as in the
that's on a level of its own.
That's on a peak of its own. Like you can. I don't think we can ever imagine, God forbid, we never want to imagine that, but it's just unfortunate. It is so sad. And I think these doctors are all out, as in they really want their colleague to be released.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally, and they are doing an amazing job. And really, I hope the government does the need. It's very important that this the issues of kidnap and adoption should be doused in our society, because it's very unfortunate that these criminal elements just walk around freely, you know. And next is The Nation, right, Uyi?
Okay, well, we're not done from
Okay.
we're not done with the Telegraph. Telegraph says 27 High Court judges to face NJC probe panels over alleged judicial misconduct. You brought us that earlier.
Yes, I did.
From a previous paper. FG states LG shared 1.3 trillion naira revenue in July. We hope that amount of money finds practical expression in the standards of living of the people for whom it is met in the first place. Inflation rate. LCCI urges FG to cut costs of doing business. Anti-party. PDP moves to discipline erring members. We hope we don't see a gale of defection on account of that.
Exactly.
Just above the nameplate says dispute with Ogun. Chinese firm releases one of 3 seized presidential jets. Are we expecting the other 2 anytime soon?
Let's fingers crossed.
Let's see. Falaye Yakasai Pandef to Tinubu. No need for another talk shop. Implement 2014 confab reports. That sounds like a long walk to freedom, really. But then let's take the liberty to go to the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right. Now, the Nation newspaper, and above the nameplate, it says alleged misconduct. 27 judges face NUC probe. And the rider there says 5 on pre-pardon watch list, register of a poor performance. And the next says body discard petitions against, I'm trying to see what, against, and it says FAAC disburses 1,358 trillion naira in July 2024 Federation account revenue. And that you can find on page 4. Now, below the caption of The Nation, it says here, Chinese firm releases 1 aircraft as outrage grows over seizure. AGF Foreign Affairs Minister flare action. Ogun sheds light on contract with firm. Now, at the right hand of the paper, it says, Olo's wife, Frideus, my husband is very, very romantic. And that's from a very happy wife there, which is good. And you can find that on page 23. And below that, we have, it says here, U.S. courts slams 3 life sentences, 76 years imprisonment on Nigerian accused of rape. What were you thinking? Seriously. And here it says, intimacy experts Shazle. And it says, religious leaders among my clients. Who asked you? Now, moving on now. It says, INEC no discrepancies in 2023 presidential election result. Now, first of all, I have my eye on intimacy experts, Shazle, religious leaders among my clients. Like, I don't understand. Must you come out and tell us, really? Why do people want to put their whole laundry out there for everyone to see?
They want to wash and hang their dirty laundry in public.
Really?
But again, you see, we need to come to terms with the reality. I mean, as sad as it is, as unfortunate as it has become, that we live in the 21st century, and this is 2024. So I rode with 2 guys to work on Tuesday morning, and one of them was saying that he doesn't understand how people have marital problems, and the first was they run to the social media. We can't find any logical explanation for it, but
really,
it is the reality we have in front of us.
It is what it is.
Right.
But sometimes I think it takes maturity, people to understand that sometimes you
for some people, Joma, incidentally, you just look at their status on WhatsApp. You already know their state of mind. You already know what they are going through.
No, sometimes it's a misconception.
For most people.
Yeah, for most people, they just put it out there just to, like, haven't you seen some people who say, if you read my status and you judge what, if you think that's what's happening to me, you are on your own. It's not true.
You see, that's the trick in it. Most times, that's also a disclaimer to mislead the people. But we know for real. I mean, we all have people in our lives.
Yes, we do.
Where we know what they are going through. And the next thing, you're just looking at people's status randomly, and next thing you see, the same thing they had talked to you about over the weekend or last.
Exactly.
You're wondering, like, did you have to come this far? And I know you have people who mature and trustworthy around you that you can talk about these things with. Why do you have to come this far?
But I think the issue is that we're also nosy. We love what we call, in quotes and quotes, we love gist. We want to see what's happening.
No, that's even on the other end. If you don't put it out there, nobody cares. For example, if let's say a woman and a man have an issue, I mean a couple has an issue, for example, I don't think anybody knocks on their door to say, see, do you have issue today? I want to hear what you should. No. People become interested when you put it out. So if you don't put it out, nobody's interested.
But you know what? And that is why, you see...
so people must understand that you can't put so much. There was a time I read an interview by Patrick Doyle, one of Nigeria's finest actors.
He's divorced now.
Yes, that has happened like multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, Ireti Doyle and all of that.
Exactly.
He said something about his ex-wife, Ireti Doyle. He said at that time that he and his wife were not on social media. So if you find anybody on social media by his name or his ex-wife's name, the person was an imposter. He said that's why, because he was again reacting to this issue, this very sickening culture of people wanting to put their private life out there, and then when the blast or the backlash comes, you're blaming village people, you're blaming everyone around you. You need to realize there are people called line in-laws. They don't need to know you. They just want to jump in on your issues.
And that's very true. And that is why I feel that's why it's very important that when you are in a relationship with an individual, come to the table. Let's talk about it. These are the do's and the don'ts. Let us have an agreement and understanding that I am not a social media person. I don't like all my activities out there, except when it has to do with work. Very important, which is, it's a norm here. And then the thing is, marital counseling is very important. I think we don't do enough of it here in Nigeria, but it's very important that there should be a foundation that you understand that, see, marriage, or when you're going into marriage, it's not a bed of roses. There will be turbulences, but you must handle it with, in quote, maturity. And it's online, and we need to hammer on the fact that going online or on social media is not the way to go about it. You must look up to individuals who you can talk to, role models that you can look at their lives and say, okay, they have gone through it. So you can talk to people about it, not putting out there on social media and making, oh God, of yourself. I don't want to use the word, but really, it's so unhealthy.
Hopefully we all grow up someday.
We all grow up someday. I don't know about others, but it's very important that we all grow up. All right, I think that's about it on the Nation paper.
All right, so let's look at the
Sun
for you. Big one first. Or let's begin with the one just adjacent, the name mast of the Sun. How we've been sustaining our love for 27 years. I think that aligns with the conversation Juma and I just had briefly a while ago. But a big one says, war brews over Constitution. Riders, Middle Belt, South Timor for new one. North opposes idea. Lawyers, referendum will address agitations for secession others. The call for referendum has been a long time coming, though. Then at the bottom of it, NJC to probe 27 High Court judges over alleged judicial misconduct. Why breast milk is good for adults, Dr. Dosheku.
Okay.
All right, that will make an interesting read, no doubt. Anambra Commissioner, wife abducted, 20 medical students kidnapped in Benue. That's our story is replicated across papers this morning. All right, let's turn to this day for you.
Okay, I wanted to talk a bit about the Sun newspaper that says here, I play romantic roles, but my husband understands. Really, silver OT there. But really, do people really understand? Is it like a mindset? You have to, okay, she's an actress, I have to understand and all of that. But really, but truly, do men really understand when a woman goes into such roles? Like, seriously?
I think there are men who do. Again, there are a couple of factors. I mean, I'm talking from a mass standpoint right now. All right, there are a couple of factors. There's common sense. There's maturity. All right. Then there's the part of you that needs to be less emotional, more logical. I'll give you an example.
But at the same time, we don't forget that you're human.
We're coming to that.
Okay.
All right. Of course, these elements I've just mentioned, they are human factors, right?
Exactly.
You see, that's why you need to deal with them early. They say eat the frog. All right? Yes, eat the frog means you have to do the hard task early enough.
Okay.
So this is you as a young man. You're dating a nursing student who is doing her final year in nursing school. All right? And then you already understand that she's going to be a career professional nurse. And as a nurse, anywhere in the world, she would naturally do night shifts. She would have to stagger her schedule. You already understand all of that.
It's different from a romantic role.
We're coming to that too.
Okay.
All right, you understand all of that.
Okay.
But some men will understand at the beginning, they will understand at the middle. But again, that will now be left for the couple to deal with. It's part of the issues they will always have.
Okay.
But I'll give you an example. This is real life and you can relate with it. Omotola Jalade Kende is one of our finest actresses in Africa, not just Nigeria, all right? One we have come to love so much because of how far she's come, the impact she has also made, and so on and so forth. I read an article one time, I mean, it was even an exclusive interview she granted to one of the papers, and she said, I think a question was asked as to, how does it feel when you take those roles, those romantic roles, you know, in movies? She said, hold on a second. In some of those roles, I mean, while I'm playing some of those roles, my husband is behind the scenes. If he's not working, he comes. He sees the script. We go through my script together, all right? It says there was even one, we're playing the role, and we got really romantic, and it was so intense. My husband jokingly told the guy after we had finished recording that, look, I'm the one that paid this woman's bride price, so you better be careful, or you didn't pay her bride price. Or they joked about it, they even had a drink afterwards. And you see, it may look uncommon, unusual. It's a level of understanding that comes in that. Omotola Jalade, mind you, was already in the industry before he married her. So the question is, what options did he have? Tell her to leave the industry and move into something else? Or marry her and allow her to live there? You must also realize that beyond being your wife, the person also has their own life and vision and dream to fulfill.
Exactly.
But then you need a man with a large heart. For example, we know of men who won't allow their wives to go back to school to study for masters because they feel, I don't want my wife to be amongst other men. It can be that crazy. So they say, for example, what do some men also ask their wives to be full-time housewife? Not because they actually want a woman that will be home all day, every day, taking care of the children. Sometimes it comes from a place of insecurity. Sometimes it comes from a place of trust, mistrust. So, some people have trust issues deep-seated in them. And this is not just about men. It's also about women. And the problem with people with trust issues is you hardly can cure them. They need to find cure for themselves. They need to come to a point where they appreciate the fact that it's their problem. Until that time, they are going to see it as the other person's problem. So I think the individual in question is important, but that should start from the ground up, from that point where you start dating. It's not a conversation you have the night after your wedding.
That's very true. That's very true. All right. So let's move over now to this day.
This day, yes. Let's do it this day.
Let's do it this day. And above the nameplate, it says, Rwanda, after protests, federal government responding quickly to negative economic developments. And the writer there says governments making changes where necessary. And below the nameplate, it says here, on this day, FAAC shares 1,358 trillion naira to federal government, states, local government as federation accounts grosses 2.613 trillion naira. And it says Southeast governors seek to combat youth unemployment with empowerment initiatives. And we've read the story of the Chinese firm releases one of 3 presidential jets in dispute with Ogun. And that is all on this day. And next we have the Tribune.
Okay, so let's bring you the Tribune, the big story first from the Tribune. Chinese firm releases 1 presidential jet for Tinubu's meeting with French president. Seems like a conditional release. Okay, above the nameplate, referendum is best way to get genuine people's constitution. As Governor Fayemi of Ekiti State is the one there talking. Police arrest suspects for murder, trading in fresh human parts in Ibadan markets. Gunmen abduct 20 medical students in Benue. Anambra commissioner, wife kidnapped on way to Abuja. Claim that I am Igbo makes me laugh. Even me, I'm trying not to laugh right now. LG polls, Osun PDP holds primary today. That's all from the Tribune. Incidentally, that's where we're leaving it on the papers this morning. Juma and I have 2 conversations coming your way shortly. Actually 3, because there's a third one that has to do with entertainment, so help you relax and just do something away from the work mode, right?
All right. Just stay tuned. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. The program continues shortly. Don't go anywhere.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV for your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV Channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
By your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name but you're starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet events to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Get a shot in, squares it, into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
We appreciate you staying with us, everyone. Just at the last count this current week, we understand that 39 cases have been confirmed. Of course, there are other suspicious or suspected cases with regards to monkeypox, now designated by the World Health Organization as mpox. We're also understanding that the index cases from the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has now, by extension, spread to other African countries, including Nigeria. As of today, it is very clear, and it's a public domain, that the Nigerian authorities, the health authorities in particular, have also raised the bar in terms of border surveillance, with other very critical measures already put in place to ensure that the spread is not only checked, but those who have already been affected or infected also get the necessary care that they deserve at this point in time. For many people, the conversation is, again, around the fact that in the last few years, Nigeria has seen several outbreaks, and this just becoming one of them. But for whatever it's worth, it is the response by the health authorities at this point in time that will critically matter. We're joined by a medical practitioner, Dr. Daniel Faithful, to help us find the facts and figures as well as all of the narratives in this conversation today. Thank you, Doc, for making our time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Good morning, Dr. Faithful. Hope you'll be faithful enough to deliver on this topic of monkeypox.
He doesn't have a choice now, does he?
He doesn't have a choice.
All right. It's exactly a decade ago that Ebola made its landing on the soil of Nigeria. That is obviously behind us now. We've seen Lassa fever, we've seen cholera, we've seen a few other things here and there. But mpox, as we now call it, which is the monkeypox, as it's popularly called, is already an emergency, health emergency for Nigeria at this point in time. Tell us what exactly we're dealing with and what Nigerians should know.
All right. So basically, it's also important that you're talking about how we've made progress when it comes to public health emergencies, especially those who have some sort of pandemic proportions. Okay, so the disease is called mpox. It was formerly known as monkeypox.
Right.
The World Health Organization had to drop that monkeypox because of his relationship with some racial connotations. Okay, so preferably just monkeypox. All right, so initially it's a disease that was spread through consumption of animals. Okay, sometimes dead meat, okay, hunters, those who consume bush meat and all of that, or wild animals, okay. And then we started seeing the spread amongst sexual transmission, came up, I think, in 2022. But interestingly, this is the second time that both the Africa CDC and the World Health Organization will be declaring a public health emergency of international concern. That's a particular status that is given to some diseases, and it takes a series of evaluations with multi-sectorial collaborations, discussions. Is this particular disease a problem? Is it something that can go beyond a particular border, overwhelm the health sector there, overwhelm the health services there, and then extend to have international implications, like we had from COVID? Also, in an effort to pick up some lessons from COVID, back then in Wuhan, there is a respiratory illness that is bringing down people. What are we going to do about it? Oh, it's a Chinese problem and all of that. It's a problem for China before it started spreading, and then we had the world being shut down for almost 2 years. So now, as it concerns us in Nigeria, there are a number of cases, about 30 cases, suspected cases in Lagos and some other, about 4 other states as at yesterday. The disease has also crossed the borders of Africa. One case was reported in Sweden, I think yesterday also, or day before yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. the characterization, the most important thing is how does it appear? What are the symptoms? What does it look like? What are the features?
Mode of transmission.
Mode of transmission, and how can we protect ourselves from it? As it relates to the mode of transmission, basically consumption of bushmeat, wild animals, monkeys, okay, and then to some extent also direct contact, okay, and sexual transmission. Sexual transmission from 2022, so they're seeing it amongst heterosexuals. Before it was homosexuals, okay, about 100 and something cases before 2022, okay, among homosexual population. But heterosexual sex evidence, research evidence among heterosexuals was reported in 2022, and since then the concern has also been amongst commercial sex workers. Okay, so the concern is for safe sexual practices, hand hygiene, basically using your sanitizers and all of that. And then you also know that and the safe practices when it comes to consumption of meat in particular. So those are basically the things. For symptomatology, that's how it appears. Clinical features, you have things like fever, respiratory illness, patient may be coughing, and then you may also see rashes on several parts of the body, including the genitals, the skin of the faces, hands, back, and all of that.
Okay. Well, I have two questions in one. First of all, how would you know whether you're consuming dead meat? So what are you going to do when you go to the marketplace and you find out that they don't tell you, maybe it's a dead cow or something? So is there a way you're supposed to cook it for a longer period of time for you to avoid having the mpox? And then my second question is, what's the difference between smallpox, chicken pox, measles, and of course the mpox?
Okay. So one common link is viral diseases, okay? They're a group, a category of organisms that are called viruses. Okay, it's, how would I put it? Your HIV, you know that one, human immunodeficiency virus, it's a virus. Okay, measles also, then chicken pox, varicella zoster virus. Similar small occurrences. For smallpox, the world has won the battle against immunization. It has been eradicated. It's no longer a problem for us. Okay, and then for chickenpox, it's still occurring, though there are chickenpox vaccines for that now for children. But you know that for chickenpox occurs, you have those rashes that are sometimes vesicular, burst, releases water, and based on maybe scratching or contact, you can spread the rashes further on the body, and then there is some sort of long-term immunity. As for chickenpox, after you've had the disease at least once in your lifetime, and it's also worse for what do they call it, for adults. If it's in your adulthood that you're having the disease for the very first time. Measles, also similar viral infection, but this time around it comes with what we call prodromal symptoms. Okay, that's before the main thing occurs. Some things that you see, so you'll be seeing things like flu, you'll be seeing things like coryza, symptoms that look as if you're having catarrh. Okay, so as if you're having a respiratory problem first, and then before you now start having those manifestations of the rashes, and then it also has a particular way it appears on the side of the face, toward the back of the neck, and then before it starts spreading to other parts of the body. Those are some of the things that we use to distinguish it. And then for some persons, when you open the mouth of the children, you see what we call Koplik spots, some white or yellowish patches on the gum inside of the mouth. Now for monkeypox, it's more for wild animals, bush meat. Okay, it's different from maybe consuming your cow, your goat, and all those things. You know, those people who have a craving for going into the bush, okay, shooting down monkeys, hunting,
right.
So that's why you are seeing it more amongst those people in those communities. And most times you will not be able to tell. You see, you are going to the bush to hunt, but then you're not seeing a couple of some of these bush meats on the floor like that inside. God has done it for you. He has made the work easier, only for you to bring it back home and then consume and then.
Oh my goodness!
I need to talk about again resources. Yes, this may not be on the same scale as we had with COVID, where we even had to get. Gavi had to step in and things like that. Some substantial private sector support and all of that. Exactly. As it stands today, do we stand prepared for the worst case scenario in this regard?
Okay, so the worst case is a pandemic.
Right.
A disease outbreak that can affect the entire world, global proportion. That is what we are trying to prevent. We are hoping, the conversation has always been, for a researcher like me, pandemic preparedness. It has been over-hyped, it has been over-discussed, it has been over-stressed. What have we learned from COVID-19?
Right.
What did we learn from the handling of Ebola viral disease? How did we export those lessons to COVID? COVID took us by surprise. COVID overwhelmed the world. The mortalities from COVID were astronomous. It was enormous. Okay, a lot of persons were affected. People died unnecessarily for things that could have been preventable and better controlled. So what have we learned? So some of the lessons that have come from COVID-19, we're talking about pandemic preparedness, will include things like disease vigilance and surveillance. How are we able to target cases as soon as they occur in the primary healthcare center? How are we equipping our primary healthcare physicians, our community health extension workers in the rural areas to say that this is not measles, this is not chickenpox, this is what they are talking about, monkeypox. So how can I escalate this to the State Ministry of Health? How can I escalate this to the Medical Officer of Health for the local government, to the State Ministry of Health, and then down to the national level? How can the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, that's NCDC, accurately track and monitor the occurrences as they occur in Lagos State, in Ogun State, in Rivers State, just across the country? And then, if we're able to get that early recognition, escalation, data tracking, disease surveillance, it means that we'll be able to arrest and curtail. We'll be able to look out for contacts. Okay, who are the persons you've had been in contact with in the past few days? How can we isolate them? How can we get some sort of quarantine? How can we then provide the antiviral treatment and some of the adjunct treatments that can help to improve them? You know, the biggest problem with monkeypox is those who die from it are basically more the children. Childhood populations are more affected, and it's worse for those that are in these areas or regions already battling from malnutrition. So basically, for monkeypox, you can recover from it. Okay. Although, what happened with monkeypox is it has been ongoing. It has been in DRC. It has been spread in some parts of Africa. But the problem is we've just been watching it. We've not been really bothered because we think it's under control. But what happened recently is that there was a new clade, a new mutation of the virus, so it has transformed to a more virulent one. Now, what basically happened is before you could only get the monkeypox from consuming the meat, an infected animal, but now you can now get it from sexual transmission. It means that the virus is learning, how will I put it, modifying itself to be able to increase how well it's able to infect one person, move to the other, and then also the severity of the illness. Okay, before the mortality rate from monkeypox was about 0.something%. It was less than 1 basically. But now this current one is 3%. So mortality is much more reduced. And although it's looking like less than 1%, 3%, we are talking if it was 1% before, now it's 3%. You are tripling the mortality rate.
Exactly.
It's quite a concern because if you start tracking for doing some disease modeling for the geometric rise with how the severity, the consequences, it's going to be enormous, and before you know, you've overwhelmed your health system. The broader conversation is how well is Nigeria's health system ready to face another disease like this? Okay, we're already battling systemic workforce shortages. Our doctors aren't enough. Our health facilities aren't enough. We also see a concentration of healthcare utilization in private health centers, in private facilities.
And that's an imbalance.
Yeah, it's an imbalance, yes. Okay. Whereas we have over 80,000 government primary health centers across the country, less than 20% are functional. Okay. And then we have much fewer private facilities, but over 60% of the Nigerian population use those fewer private centers.
So there's a high demand.
High demand for private. Okay. But they are much more fewer in number. The consequence of private is that it's much more expensive to access care in those centers, right? So it now goes on to the next conversation is now the healthcare financing conversation. How then do people pay for these healthcare services? And we say, okay, it's supposed to be much more convenient, much more easier when we talk about health insurance. Okay, but however, only 4% of Nigerians are covered by health insurance. So the vast majority, 90-something%,
have to pay from out of pocket.
Out of pocket, and out of pocket comes with catastrophic expenses. When you now look at the broader landscape, economically speaking, Nigeria is battling what do they call it? Severe poverty rates. Over 60% are already poor, living on less than $1 a day. So where will Nigerians have to make a decision between their food, their shelter, and clothing, and how much to spend on healthcare?
Exactly.
Okay, so you can now see that somebody may have mpox in the rural areas. Somebody may have traveled down to the city with mpox. doesn't think that he needs to go to the hospital. I don't know what it is, so this rash is coming out of my skin. I'm having fever, I'm having muscle aches, I'm coughing.
No, let me
I'm
ask
having
you,
difficulty in breathing.
with all that you've said, that means it's contagious when someone has Mpox. Can you, sitting close to someone that has Mpox, can you actually get the disease immediately?
No.
So it takes, there's a process.
Yes, there's a process.
You said the sexual transmission and then consumption of, okay, great. And then, but is it, you said, is it preventable? Can you prevent this from going further into something really drastic and dangerous?
Is it on an individual
on
basis?
an individual basis,
okay,
yes.
Basically, it's the, what do they call it? Your personal protection. Personal protection, that's personal, how will I put it? Infection preventive measures.
Okay, that is what now?
The disease is modifying itself. That's is evolving into a stage where you can now contact it. That's by direct contact. It's
okay.
Not, okay. So if you're now working on things like basically hand washing, hand hygiene, use of sanitizers, we're still trying to understand to what extent this virus has been able to mutate with the way it's transmitted.
Are we coming back to the face masks now?
We've not, there's no documented evidence as it stands now currently that the transmission is through respiratory transmission or respiratory droplets. That's when we're going to talk about face masks. Okay. To the extent where we're not able to say, okay, there is not direct contact for it, that's when we're not talking about things like social distancing and all that, but that's not in the conversation now. The conversation now is just basically hand washing, hand hygiene, properly cooked meats, know the source of meats you are getting from, make sure you get it from processed suppliers, having health authorities go into those part of the meat markets, meat stalls to inspect what's actually happening, the abattoirs, exactly. And then also getting the information back to the rural areas. We know that there's a lot of movements from this, what do you call it, this bush meat, back to the city. People make requisitions for all these things and then they transport them. So we can get this information and then talk about how we can visual content. This is how it looks, this is what it presents, so that you can have early notification and then you can control the disease. For now, the Mpox is still evolving. Okay, so we don't know to what extent. Now, the broader conversation is preparedness, recognition, escalation, tracking, disease surveillance, and then trying to get the workforce, health workforce.
Very important.
Yes, this is not something that is common.
Incidentally, we need to talk about the health workforce so we can make the most of the time that we have. So we're taking a quick break now. That will be our second conversation, all right? We've been spending our time, spending time talking about basically the Mpox, which has been reported in Nigeria. 39 cases on record so far, still being observed. You understand that there's an evolution going on in some sense of the word. But we're taking a break. When we return, we'll look at something new by way of policy that the federal government has put in place in the health sector. We'll talk to you about that after this break.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV. For your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight,
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits? It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Get a shot in, squares it into the back.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Beautiful work from the wingers.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
I want to go further to congratulate you on being on DSTV 365. Yeah, channel 365 is an awesome thing. Congratulations, and I will enjoy each and every one to keep on watching Global TV.
This is Global TV. For your current affairs, for your current information, ideas, education, entertainment news at the best. Channel 365 on DSTV. You have just come alive into a new phenomenon in the media industry. Keep watching. Stay tuned.
Keep watching Global Television on DSTV channel 365 for your news and all national issues and international breaking news. Watch Global TV.
Let's turn to a second conversation on the program now, which has to do with the health workforce migration policy introduced this current week. Dr. Daniel Faithful will help us find some perspective on this front. So let's talk about all of this. It appears finally the federal government is now paying attention to calls to address the so-called Japa syndrome and the adverse impact it has had in terms of depleting the workforce within the health sector. Is that what this does?
Yes, I want to say that indeed, this is the very first, at a policy level time, the federal government is trying to make conscientious efforts to address the issue of healthcare workers migration. I mean, it has gone unabated for the past few years. Right. It's not a problem that began today. Okay, since the 1980s, doctors have been emigrating the country. Healthcare workers on a whole have been emigrating the country. But we're now seeing it becoming a trend that is on a much more faster scale. But this time around, it was a case of, let's not just talk about what's happening on social media, let's actually go back to the data. And so the Federal Ministry of Health decided to work with several organizations, local organizations like the licensing bodies. Okay, what are the proportion, what are the numbers of persons who are licensed by you, who are asking for certificate of good standing, which is required when you want to emigrate within this the past number of years, so that we can be able to say, okay, this is not the exact number, because some persons may have left the country without necessarily coming to get the certificate of good, but this gives us an idea, an approximate idea of the scale. Are we now dealing with a problem? And then they gathered certain key persons across different MDAs, across various institutions, from the WHO, from the World Trade Organization, and some of these other organizations, review this data and tell us, is this a problem? Is this a crisis? Has it reached a problem, the time or the period where we can say, okay, we're having a crisis on our hands, so that we can now escalate, make efforts to address, just like what's happening with the Mpox. Okay, before the declaration of the public health emergency of international concern, the WHO needs to seek advice. This is the data, advice, and then tell us whether we can declare it. And that's what just happened with this. And then the conclusion is that yes, we have a problem that needs to be addressed. A multifaceted solution needs to be brought to the forefront. You know, there have been conversations with the National Assembly flirting with legislation on trying to restrict medical doctors, for instance, or healthcare workers from leaving country. There have been controversies with the Nursing and Midwifery Council, where they suspended this certificate of good standing for their nurses who wanted to emigrate, who have interest in emigrating to the United Kingdom. All of these things. And then the broader conversation that the federal government's Ministry of Health has recognized is that you can't restrict people from leaving because it's their human rights. Okay, so some of the documents that were reviewed included the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the GATS documents from the World Trade Organization, and then there's also a document on human resource on health policy, and then there's also a 2010 document on WHO's Code of Practice on the international recruitment of healthcare workers. So basically, a more holistic approach. But to enrich the conversation further, the key point is, what are the major push and pull factors? Push factors, those things that are pushing these healthcare workers outside the country. Pull factors, those things that can help us to increase retention. And then the border scale. 80% of the persons who were involved in this documentation said that the major reasons were economic, and then 20% issues with professional growth. So the policy document is outlining things about trying to improve incentives for healthcare workers, trying to talk about, but there is so much on increasing the production. Okay, because if you are not working on the pipeline for healthcare workers, then you can never meet your targets. Okay, there are severe healthcare workforce shortages in Nigeria. This is exacerbated by the emigration of the healthcare workers. WHO recommends about 4.45 healthcare workers per 1,000 population. At least there should be 4. Whether a doctor, a nurse, but at least 4 should cater for 1,000. But Nigeria has 1.8 or 1.6. So in multiples, we are lacking. Okay. When it comes to doctors specifically, we just have 0.36 doctors per 1,000. That means we have 1 medical doctor for 3,000 population. It's a problem. Okay.
It's a big problem.
So how do we now address this? So the policy now started bringing about things like trying to increase the number of healthcare workers that are produced, by increasing the number of the training institutions, by increasing the capacity of these training institutions to train much more healthcare workers. Let's double it. Let's see if it can address this problem. Let's also address the issue of equitable distribution of healthcare workers. We will never achieve what is called universal healthcare coverage if all persons in Nigeria cannot access healthcare when they need it, to the degree that they need it in the locality where they are. We should not be having Nigerians travel great distances, taking risk just to secure healthcare access. They should be able to healthcare access that is domiciled to them. But we have an inequitable distribution, with more of the healthcare workers concentrated in urban areas as opposed to the rural areas. So what does this policy on workforce migration say? It says that we want to incentivize those who are going to work in rural areas, who are going to work in the local governments. So how can we increase their pay? How can we address the issue of security? How can we try to increase the compensation so that we can make it much more better or easier? But then when it comes to security, there's a broader national conversation currently for the healthcare community, which is, as it concerns security, doctors or healthcare workers are now facing another threat, the security of their lives. A few days ago, about 20 medical personnel, that's 19 medical students and 1 medical doctor, were kidnapped on their way from Jos to Benue. They were kidnapped in Benue. Recent tweets suggesting that ransom has already been demanded, about 50 million naira, and then they've asked that they will start killing the students anytime from now. We also watched yesterday all over across the country, Association of Resident Doctors went on mass protests over the kidnap of Dr. Ganiat for about 7 months. So when we are talking about the policy on how to stop migration, we are saying that right now, one of the other motivations for healthcare workers to leave, it's not just about money again, it's about their safety and security.
Dr. Faithful, time will fail us to push this conversation beyond this point. But the good thing is we understand, even from what you have said so far, that there's a change in approach now to this issue of exodus, as it were, of health workers from this country. I mean, most Nigerians have had their fair share of this phenomenon, and it's not a pleasant place to be as a country and even for citizens. But then it's also clear that the policy implementation is what we're now looking forward to see how it pans out in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. I want to say a big thank you to you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll take a quick break now, everyone. When we return, the rest of the program will come your way. Do stay with us.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria! Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that of them? Because
that this country gets it right?
Who are these bandits? It's the desk. Welcome back. Thank you for staying glued to your TV set. And another big news for us on Global Television. Congratulations to each and every one of us. We are now on NineComSat. That's a free-to-air channel, so everyone around the globe can actually watch us, Global Television. And of course, it's the frequency is 12,518. Polarization horizontal, latitude 42.5 degree east, just in and outside Nigeria, and the whole of the West African countries can actually watch Global Television. That's right. Another big win for us, free to air. Like this particular subscription, you don't need to subscribe. You can actually, tune in. For those that have satellites that are
decoders that are
compatible
decoders that are free to air. You can actually watch us on NICOMSAT. That's a big win. Really, God is great and faithful.
Incidentally, it's exactly a month ago that we launched on DSTV,
yes,
right, channel 365, which was, of course, a big one by whatever measure.
Exactly.
Of course, before that, we have always been on Star Times, 276. But now, with this addition, it just means Global TV is, to say it, I mean, to put it mildly, or say the least, we are committed to expanding our footprint. And the reason we're doing that is to ensure that our viewers have options, and then you have access to all of our content as well. So just like Jumai mentioned, it's NICOMSAT. Symbol rate is 29500. Frequency is 12518. Polarization is horizontal. Longitude is 42.5 degrees east. All right, you find all of that information. I mean, we will also continue to keep you abreast of all of these during our programming, so that you understand the settings. And for those of you who normally use installers to set up your facility, your free-to-air facility, your installer will have this information as well, so that you continue to have multiple options regarding having access to global television's content.
Exactly. Different assets. And of course, it is a big win for us here on Global Television, and to our managing director, the MD, no other person than Dr. Ibrahim Biu, who has done amazingly well, that has taught me what it is to be determined when it comes to getting what you want. Never give up. Thank you for all you do. And of course, the general manager, of course, managing staff, and all staffs of Global Television. Another big win for us. And of course, being on NICOMSAT, it's a big win for us. Everyone can have access to watch Global Television, so you can watch us wherever you are. If you're in any African country, you can tune in and definitely watch us on free to air. Yes, you can.
There's no more excuse now.
No more excuse now.
Right?
It's not just
I don't have
DSTV.
so on and so forth.
It's not just DSTV or Star Times. Right. Now we are on free to air, so the frequency, you can actually watch us back to back here on Global Television.
I don't even think that it stretches beyond the shores of our country.
Exactly, African countries.
All right, yes, 247. You have access to our content. That's even to add to the fact that we're also on social media across all the platforms, YouTube, X, Facebook, TikTok as well.
Yes, we are. Yes,
all right,
we are.
We're all on these platforms just to ensure that we continue to be in your faces. I mean, in a polite manner, by the way. All right, every day, all day. We also need to say a big thank you to our viewers who continue to believe in us, who continue to send us feedback as to how we're doing as an organization.
Thank you.
Sometimes we even talk about individuals just to help us straighten up, improve what we do here, become better, compete better within healthy limits. All right, all of these, I mean, we don't take them for granted.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We're very grateful. We just want to be better. We want to give you the best when it comes to news, current affairs. We're here to inform you on the daily happenings making round around the globe. And thank you all for being a part and with us at this process. Of course, we're all in this together to bring beautiful content when it comes to news, current affairs, and of course, various programs around the globe. And with that, we have to wrap it up on Global Morning, right?
Everything that has a beginning
must surely have an end. And thank you all so much for allowing us to grace your television set today. And don't forget, I am Jumai Manson, and my co-host, another person that Uyi Agbomofwegbe in the building, and he's taking it back. He's taking a bow. Thank you all so much for being a part with us from 8 till this time on Global Morning Weekend. Have a fantastic day ahead and keep watching Global Television. Bye-bye.